Intel's share price has dropped. So people might be wondering, is it now a good time to buy into this previous semiconductor legend? So to better understand what Intel really is, we will have a quick refresh on what the semiconductor ecosystem is all about. So the first one is fabless, which is mainly to design the chips only. The next one will be foundry. Foundry is purely manufacturing the chips. And Intel, they both design the chip and also manufacture the chip. So they are known as IDM, Integrated Device Manufacturer. The last one will be OSAT, which is outsourced semiconductor assembly and test. They mainly do assembly the chips after being manufactured and also testing it out. So here we will further look into IDM. So these are some of the product lines that Intel produces, which is chipset, server products, Intel NUC. Intel NUC is something similar to Mac Mini, and also their connection, which is wireless and also Ethernet products. So for chipset, where they put all the components onto it to allow process going on, the uses of most of the chips made by Intel are used on cloud computing, like cloud servers, high-performance computing, or known as supercomputer, AI, content creation, gaming, and also self-driving vehicles. So we will also look at how does Intel actually generate revenue, and we will look into their operating segments. So the first one is Client Computing Group, where they manufacture the chips for computers such as desktops and notebooks. Data Center and AI is mainly for data centers, and Network and Edge Group. This one is for the networking and also the edge computing. Accelerator Computing System and Graphic Group. So this one is mainly for graphic cards and also the supercomputers or high-performance computer. And Mobile Eye is for self-driving, autonomous driving. And IFS is for the manufacturing, which is a new division that Intel has actually launched. So here are all of the manufacturing sites that Intel has. We can see that here the purple color is for wafer fabs, which is the factory to manufacture the chips. And the blue color is for assembly and test. That means after the chip has been manufactured, it will be sent over. So we can see that there are 5 manufacturing sites in North America and also in Europe and 1 in Israel. And then the assembly test one in Costa Rica, and the others are mainly in Asia region. So these are the manufacturing sites that Intel has. So now let's look at who are the customers that Intel has. The first one is Dell, Lenovo, and HP. So this explains why the revenue dropped drastically. Is because the PC sales are being affected, so Intel's revenue will also be affected. So right now, let's look at economic mode. First thing is definitely intellectual property, because as an IDM, they will have their own trade secrets, patents on how to manufacture the chips. And also distribution network, we see that they still have a strong partnership with the major PC manufacturers, and also Intel are sell worldwide. And also their brand. When you say Intel, we know that it's actually a good brand with a quality product and it's reliable. However, are they still the technology leader? In order to answer this, we will have to look at their competitors. So as an IDM, we will look at their chip manufacturing. So the competitor that I decided to put in is TSMC and Samsung. It's because these are the 2 largest foundries in the world. So now let's look at currently the process node in production for Intel is actually 10 nanometer. And TSMC currently is in 3 nanometer, even though they are doing research in 2 nanometer. And the same is for Samsung as well, 3 nanometer. So we can see that there's quite a lot that Intel has to catch up. Then Intel currently has 9 manufacturing sites worldwide, as we have shown earlier. TSMC actually has 17 manufacturing sites, but do take note that almost 14 of them are located in Taiwan. If there's anything happen in Taiwan, then it's bad news for TSMC. Samsung has 7 manufacturing sites, and also majority of them are situated in Korea. Only 2 in US, where there's a new one being built in Texas. Next, we will also compare about chip designer, AMD and NVIDIA. So these are the applications that Intel chip are being made for. And for AMD's, it's somewhat similar, and NVIDIA is also. But we will notice that one of the differences between AMD with the other 2 companies is that they are not involved in self-driving vehicles as compared to NVIDIA and Intel, but they are more focused on the simulations of the computer. So here we will look at some quick and simple financials criteria. So the first one is the revenue. So in FY 2022, Intel actually generated about 63.1 billion of revenue. So we can see that CCG, which is the computing client group, mainly about the desktops and notebooks, they actually take up about half of their revenue in FY 2022, followed by the data centers and also network and edge group. So the others are quite small and they are growing, and IFS is only contributing about 1.4%. And now let's look at for the past 10 years. We can see that the revenue for Intel is actually growing until 2022, where there was a sharp plunge. So right now, the next thing we will look at is the profitability, and here we will look into their EPS. So here we see that for the past few years, it's actually increasing before there was a sharp drop from 4.89 to 1.95. We can see that the drop in PC sales actually severely affected their EPS. So for their operating cash flow, so you can see that for the past 8 years it's increasing, but since 2020, actually the cash flow is actually dropping. So here, debt to equity ratio. So based on value investing methodology, we wanted to be less than 0.5. Luckily, they are still below 0.5. But do notice that it's slowly in a slightly upward trend. So this is something that investors should take note of.